As water drips from our naked bodies, he carries me toward the stairs heading to our bedroom. With my arms draped around his neck, I rake my fingernails along his shoulder blades and he shivers. He hastily sets me down on one of the steps and hovering over me, he asks, "What else do you want?" Gasping, I manage to answer, "You. Just you." He grabs me, yanking me forward, and I know we're not going to make it up the stairs. He takes my hands, raising them above my head, and locks our fingers together. He traces my mouth with his tongue and tugs on my lower lip. Freeing one hand, he runs it past my stomach down to my slick flesh. His touch sends an instant feeling of exhilaration through my body. My breathing speeds up and I work my tongue up his neck, wanting to taste every inch of him. He inhales sharply and releases my other hand. Moving his hands to my waist, he then slides his hands to my lower back, forcefully pulling me to him. I am shaking with need as I shift my hands down to grab him. When my fingers stroke his thick shaft and I circle his tip, he groans. He lifts his head and stares at me. "I need to be inside of you. I'm yours. Take me." Foregoing any foreplay, his hands push my legs further apart. He runs his tongue over his bottom lip before crushing his mouth to mine. I close my eyes as fire explodes through my body. Then he grabs both of my hands and raises them back over my head, holding my hands in place with one of his. I watch him as he takes himself in his hand, readying himself for me, and I gasp at the pure eroticism of it all. He plunges into me and I scream out as he takes what's his. The pace he sets is hard and fast. Watching him and feeling the weight of his body on mine makes me tremble. I can't touch him, and somehow that only makes my need for him more intense. I know what he's doing. He's marking me, but I don't care. He already owns every piece of me. If he needs this to remind him, I'll give it to him. When he grinds himself deep inside me, my head falls back and my legs tighten around him without any conscious thought. He urges me to follow his pace as he moves hard and fast, and I follow. He seems to get lost in the moment, like he can't get enough of me. I close my eyes and just absorb every ounce of him. We touch each other everywhere. Our hands, our lips, our bodies, they never leave each other. Running, pressing, skimming, and gliding over every ounce of flesh, we continue to move at a pace we never have before. I open my eyes in time to see his close. My moan turns into his groans, and before I know it, I am screaming, "Oh, God, yes!" over and over again. Pausing before taking one final thrust, he does the same. Shuddering, he pulls out of me and lifts my arms over my head again with one hand while the other moves down my body. I'm taken aback as to what he's doing, but when his hot breath hits my neck and his hand cups my sex, I know. I moan. I can't help it. I'm already so wet from the combination of him and me that when he inserts 2 fingers inside me, they easily slide in. His thumb presses against me as his fingers move in and out, over and over. I can feel him harden against my thigh, and the need to have him inside me is stronger than ever. He moves his mouth to my breast and circles the nipple with his tongue before sucking on it. And although I just came, I can feel it building again. The warm hardness resting on my thigh, his hand on my sex, his mouth on my nipple, it's sensory overload, and I scream out as pleasure tears through me. I'm still panting a minute later, when without a word he picks me up and carries me the rest of the way up the stairs and into the house. After kicking the door shut, he sets me on the bed and lies next to me, urging me to move on top of him. Of course I do. I tuck my arms under his neck and lay my head on his chest. Once my breathing calms, I kiss his neck and then nuzzle into it. He kisses my head and rests his cheek there. We both know we have to talk, but neither of us wants to, and that's okay for now. After a few minutes, I peek up at him and his eyes are fixed on me. I raise one eyebrow and smirk at him. He grins back. What? I try to make light of a situation that I know is nothing but heavy. You skipped all the romance, lover boy. Laughing, he says, You know, it can't always be rainbows and butterflies. I grin at him, remembering the first weekend we spent together, and how I asked him if he was dreaming of rainbows and butterflies. Then, inching myself up next to him on the pillow so that we are nose to nose, I say, I think you got the butterflies part down pretty well. We lay together for a long while, but neither one of us falls asleep. Leaning over him, I push the hair from his eyes and kiss his nose. I missed you today. I missed you too. Don't ever not call me again. Dahlia, you're the one who wouldn't talk to me at Grace's and then took off. Calling you wouldn't change what happened. And honestly, I was pissed at you and didn't want to talk to you. Tears well in my eyes, and he pulls me back down to him. Besides, how could I call you when you smashed your phone? I look at him, dumbfounded. How do you know that? I called Ari this morning and she told me she was on her way to see you. Later on she texted me that you got mad and threw your phone. Care to tell me why? I think you already know why, smartass. Yeah, but I want to hear you say it. I give him a shut up now before you get in any more trouble look and say, Please, promise to always call, no matter how mad we are. First, you have to promise you won't hang up on me. I promise to never hang up. Making a crossing motion over his heart, he says, I promise to call. River, I'm sorry we never made it to Las Vegas. We haven't discussed our postponed elopement, and I want him to know getting married to him is something I still plan to do. He stares at me for a long time, maybe searching for answers to his own questions. Questions he should already know the answers to. There's a lot going on right now. We'll make it there when the time's right. With that, I know we have done enough talking for one night. So when he wraps his arms around me, rolling us over, I close my eyes and get lost in him again. This time, we don't take it slow either, but River pours his heart into every touch, and I show my love for him with every single kiss. I don't know what time it is when we finish, but I lie back on top of him, ready to drift off to sleep. Tonight, I don't need to pick a side of the bed. I will stay where I am, where I want to be. Chapter 10. Rebel Beat. River, get your ass out of bed. We have to meet with Ellie in 30 minutes. Those are the first words I hear, right as our bedroom door swings open. I grab for the blanket and pull it up as far as I can. Rolling to his side, he pulls me behind him, shielding me. What the fuck, Xander? Did you forget how to knock? Xander stands there looking very hungover. Leaning against the doorframe, he says, Shit! I thought you were alone. Didn't know the Muse came home. We have a meeting, so get your ass up. I'm not going to any more meetings. Go without me. This one is with the label. Xander, I'm not going. Xander shakes his head and mumbles something under his breath that sounds like asshole, but then he says, Whatever, lover boy. I'll call you later with the details. As River pulls me tighter to him, I nestle my head contentedly on his shoulder. I'm sure you will, he says to Xander. I'm out of here. Glad to see you worked it out. I wave goodbye to him and River says, Xander, thanks for last night. Xander rubs his hand against the back of his head. Whatever. No problem. But maybe next time we could stick to vodka. River and I both get a laugh out of that. Xander really does look like a mess. Funny, I thought he could hold his liquor. Yeah, man, but I'm not planning on there being a next time, River says, and I tighten my hold on him and kiss his shoulder. Xander smirks as he leaves. Closing the door behind him, he yells back, By the way, nice shiner. Leaning around to kiss River, my fingers dance up his bare back. You should go to those meetings, you know. It's not good for the lead singer of the band to look disinterested. Turning his head to meet my kiss, he rolls over. Hovering over me, his lips almost touching mine, he answers me. I'm not interested, so I guess the way it looks is the way it is. I shove him a little. What? It's the truth. Well, since the tour is really happening, I think... He doesn't let me finish before he rolls us over so that I'm once again lying on top of him. There. Let's start the morning over. I laugh and let him do what he's so very good at, changing the subject. One hand moves the hair off my face as he asks, What do you want to do today, beautiful girl? I think we should probably work, don't you? He shakes his head. I just want a few hours alone with you. Circling my fingers around his now very black eye, I grin slyly and say, That can be arranged. So, any ideas? I don't know. Nothing. Everything. Well, that narrows it down, he says as he continues to stroke my hair. Does it hurt? I'm staring at his eye. He raises his arm over his head and shakes it before saying, Nope, just a little sore. I'll be able to lift the Starbucks coffee you're going to get me with no problem. I burst into a fit of giggles before I can respond. First of all, I meant your eye. But I'm glad your hand is better. And second of all, I did not lose. You did. You couldn't have stayed underwater if I would have held you there. Yeah, I might have been a little buoyant. I can only laugh. He was more than a little buoyant, but talking about why he drank so much is not what I want to do right now. How about we stop for coffee on the way to do something I have always wanted to do? He slides his body along the length of mine, then slips his arm under my back and presses his lips to my ear. That sounds fun. I sighed deeply. With his body so close and his warm breath on me, it's hard to concentrate. I think a day away from all the chaos will help us both find the courage to have the conversation neither one of us wants to initiate. With determination, I place my hands on his chest and push him off me slightly. What? He asks, glancing down at me. Not sex. He pauses, then kisses me. I know, he laughs, but I can't help it if my mind wanders when you throw words around like something I've never done before. Careful not to grab his sore hand, I scoot out from under him and pull him by his other hand. Come on, lover boy. We're headed to Keanu Reeves territory. He looks at me questioningly and shakes his head no. Point Break, Keanu Reeves, Johnny Utah, Latigo Beach, I say so he knows where I'm talking about. All signs of playfulness and laughter disappear. I know the movie, Dahlia, but I'm not going to the beach with you. I gently clutch both of his hands and mold my naked body to his. Staring right into his emerald green eyes, I beg. Please, let's go to Malibu. I've never been, and I think it will be a good place for us to spend the day together. Resting his forehead against mine, he slowly shakes his head. I don't know. You have to go to the beach with me eventually. Let's just get in the car and hop on the 101. Once we get there, if you're still not feeling it, we can just hit up Neptune's Net for breakfast. He looks straight at me when he says, God, why can't I ever just say no to you? Once I'm showered and dressed in my bathing suit, shorts, and my concert t-shirt of The Who, I pull my hair back and head downstairs. I'm in my office typing out a few emails when he enters. He had to take a call from Xander, so I decided to get a little work done. He comes in wearing jeans, a white short-sleeved t-shirt, and his Wayfarer sunglasses. It looks more than hot on him, but it's not exactly beach apparel, so I have to laugh, especially when I look down and see his Adidas. At least he traded his work boots for sneakers. You can't wear jeans to the beach. There's a flash of the smirk I love before he slides the waistband of his jeans down so I can see his board shorts. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever seen him in shorts, and I know he would never own a pair of flip-flops. I have to draw in a deep breath to compose myself because he looks amazing no matter what he wears. And showing me his bare skin does amazing things to me. But if I act on them, we'll never make it to the beach. "You're not going to make me wear a Ronald Reagan mask, are you?" he jokes, turning around and lacing his fingers in mine before pulling me out the door. We head back upstairs and grab some water bottles, towels, and my camera. As we exit through the kitchen, he stops to pick up the key lying on the landing and puts it back on top of the door frame. I point to the hole in the wall. "Did you do that?" "Yeah, I guess I did." "River, why?" I start to ask, but I know why, so I stop. He responds anyway. "Well, let's just say I was in a piss-ass mood and the key wouldn't cooperate." I look away in avoidance. I'm not ready to talk more about Ben, and I know he isn't either. So I step by him and head down the stairs. I really just want to spend the day together and enjoy each other's company. We cruise down to Malibu in his vintage black Porsche, managing to somehow keep the mood light. "Did I tell you Jack talked to me about helping him produce MC Hammer's Too Tight album?" Snapping my head in his direction, my jaw drops. "Shut up! You're shitting me! How did he get that? I thought it was buried along with his career." He laughs. "No, I'm not. He picked up some small production company that years ago had acquired Death Row Records' vault, and it's just sitting in there waiting for someone to show it some love. Jack just has to see if he can get MC to sign off on it." "Isn't gangsta rap a little passé?" River shakes his head. "Maybe. Who knows? But the cameo by Tupac will have everyone listening." I nod my head, trying not to think about the sadness of Tupac Shakur's murder. River rolls his window down and I follow suit. Then he starts singing "You Can't Touch This," and I laugh hysterically. Soon I'm grabbing my camera and shooting pictures of him. He turns and mouths "You can't touch this," as well as some of the other best lines, and I capture them all. To get in beach mode, I pick up his phone and scroll through the iTunes store, downloading every song I can find with the word beach or fun in it. I want him to be excited to go to the beach, but most of the songs I select just make him roll his eyes. Until I download California Girls by the Beach Boys. As it plays, his smile widens. He sings along with me, and we unknowingly have a contest for who can sing the words "Wish They All Could Be California Girls" the loudest. He smiles so brightly I can see his dimples. He even splays his hand out in the wind, thumping to his own beat. When the song finishes, I turn the volume down and just watch him. He glances my way and lifts his sunglasses. "Yes?" "Nothing. I'm just surprised that you like the Beach Boys." "Well, not sure that I want to ruin my cool rocker image or anything, but I'll tell you a secret," he says, winking at me. "My dad made us listen to them every time we ever went to the beach, and after a while, they started to grow on me." "That's actually really cool. And your rocker image is still intact. No worries. I won't tell anyone." River falls silent for the rest of the drive. I wonder if it was the song, the conversation, or the fact that we are quickly approaching the beach. A part of me knows River feels the beach was a place for me and Ben, but that simply isn't true. True, we both love the beach, but that doesn't mean I can't love it with River. I want to be able to experience the beauty of one of the most magical places with him, and this feels like the time to bridge one of the last barriers between us. We pull into the public parking lot, and he swings the car into a spot. When he turns the ignition off, I can see his reluctance. "Hey, are you okay?" Removing his sunglasses, he looks at me. I mean, really looks at me before speaking. Then pointing to the beautiful Pacific Ocean that stands before us, he says, "I'm not sure we should be doing this." I don't hesitate in the slightest before saying, "Well, I am." Then I reach over and push the hair from his eyes. "I love you. Only you, okay? And I want to share one of my favorite places with you. I want us to experience this together. We need to do this, River, for you and for me. For us." He sits quietly, like he's weighing the pros and cons of what I just said. He stays like that for the longest time. I try to hasten his decision by opening my door, but when he doesn't do the same, I move back in my seat and decide to resort to enticement. Pulling off my t-shirt, I sit there with the hot sun beating through the window in my black bikini top, then lean back and wiggle out of my shorts. While he watches me, his lips part and his chest moves a little more rapidly. A wicked grin appears on his face as he runs his finger up one of the strings of my top. If you'd have taken your clothes off when we first got in the car, we probably would never have made it to the beach, you know? With that, he opens his door, takes his shoes off, and stands to strip off his jeans. I watch him and think he's right. Come with me, he says, quirking a finger and leading me up the mound of rocks. I stop halfway to snap photos of him climbing, his strong, muscular legs easily carrying him up the rocks. When he sits on one of the boulders, I crouch down and snap. The wind blows through his light brown hair, and with his sunglasses on, he not only looks content and carefree, but sexy as hell. Every muscle in his chest and abs is on display as I click, zooming in to capture one or two close shots. Sing something for me! I have to raise my voice to be heard around the camera and the sound of the ocean splashing against the rocks. He reaches his hand to pull me next to him, but I stay right where I am. Standing, I steady myself and flip my camera to video mode. Come on, one song. His eyes move across my face, then drift down my body. He smiles a small, sneaky grin. Do I look like a jukebox? He says, stifling a laugh. Feeling the familiar heat of his gaze, I answer, No, of course not. Why do you ask? I already know his question has a purpose, and I'm extremely curious to discover what it is. You ask for a song. If I were a jukebox, you'd have to insert coins to get me to play. Right? Yes, I suppose if you were, but since you're not, I stand there admiring the glow of his hair in the sunlight. He extends his hand again. Then come here and give me a kiss, and I'll play something for you. Slipping my hand in his, he pulls me to his lap. I wrap my arms around him, and his lips find mine. His kiss is soft, warm, and full of promise. His hands move everywhere, up my back, over my arms, on my hips. His kisses become harder and deeper until we both break for air, both feeling that familiar desire surfacing. Placing kisses up and down my neck, his lips slide along my collarbone and up my chin to my ear. He starts singing Beachside in my ear, and in the exhilaration of the moment, I forget all about videoing him. Next to kissing him, hearing River sing to me is the most romantic thing I've ever known. For hours afterward, we walked the beach, made sandcastles, and River even used shells to carve out moats around them. We chased each other through the surf, and when he caught me, he always picked me up and twirled me around before throwing me in the waves. After lunch, we bought a kite and kept it flying in the air for at least 15 minutes. Now that evening is rapidly approaching and our perfect day is just about over, he begins to sing to me again. He has seemed more like himself today, still a little sad, still a little on edge, but all in all, his demeanor is far improved. As I sit in between his legs on top of a massive boulder, his song ends and he rests his forehead against mine and pulls away with one lone groan. I can't help my grin. Knowing we've gone as far as we can on the public beach, we turn to the west to watch the magnificent sunset. Sunrises and sunsets are among my favorite things, and have always been my favorite things to photograph. I lean back into his chest and continue to snap pictures as he wraps his arms around me, kissing my head. I don't want this perfect moment to end, and I know when we get home we have to talk. The fact that Ben is alive means that whether or not I want him in my life, we have to talk it through. Figure out what it means that he's not dead. Ben and I share more than a past. We share more than possessions. We share a family. Grace, Serena, and Trent. And even though I'm a little upset with Grace right now, they are just as big a part of my life as his. He jostles me out of my thoughts when he whispers, I'm going to miss days like these. What do you mean? I have to peer over my shoulder to see him. Us alone, no one else around. Days when it's just you and me against the world. We'll still have that river. Maybe not as often or for as long, but we will. Unsure where this conversation is headed, I wait for him to say more. He kisses my temple and shifts his head down to my neck. You know, I don't want to do this, don't you? He murmurs into my ear, and it's not a question. I need to look at him for this, so I rise up from in between his legs and move to sit beside him. Resting my head on his shoulder, I stay silent a long while. I know he's talking about the tour, but I feel helpless to assist him in any way. He made his decision, and I don't want to add any stress to the already large emotional load he carries. Looking up at him, I stroke his cheek with my fingers and say the only thing I can. I know, River. Why don't you just tell Xander? Explain to him how you feel. There's a haunted look in his eyes. I can't do that. I promised I would do this, and I'm not going to break my promise. I hesitate a minute, then ask, Who did you promise? His body tenses, and he inhales deeply. Dahlia, I've never really explained how my dad died. Not that I haven't wanted to, but more because the memory isn't one I ever wanted to relive. One look at his somber expression and compassion and pain swirl inside me, and I fight to keep my own face expressionless. Beyond sympathy for him, for losing his father, I also feel my own remorse. For never having pushed him to tell me how his father died, other than the fact that he died from a gunshot wound when River was 16. I'm not sure why I never did. I could just tell it was something he didn't want to discuss, and that was a feeling I knew well. My eyes lock on his, and I give him a look that lets him know it's okay to go on, that I'm here for him. Letting out a long, cleansing breath, he starts to open up. Xander and I promised our dad that we would do everything we could to be successful. Cupping his cheeks, I say, every parent wants that for their child. And River, you are successful. Sighing, he shakes his head. No, Dahlia. He was always pretty specific. He wanted us to hit it big in the music industry. It was his dream for himself, but no matter how hard he tried to achieve it, he never could. He teetered close twice. The first time he cut an album and toured, but low sales and low attendance had him starting at square one. When I was 14, he got a second chance, but by then he was too far gone. After that, he never performed again, and our family life changed forever until the day he killed himself and willed his dream on us. A wall of silence forms between us for a moment as my eyes widen in disbelief. Tears sting my eyes, and I want to hold him, to comfort him, but can tell he wants to continue, so I refrain. I'm so sorry, River. I never knew, but I'm here. You can talk to me about it. Sniffing and looking toward the water, he says, Like I said, my dad was a dreamer. He always wanted to hit it big, but never could catch a break. I never even knew how unhappy he was for the longest time. He made us his life, taught us everything he could. He tried to provide for us as best he could by teaching guitar lessons out of our house during the day and performing on the weekends. When I was about 10, he started playing local joints at night and not coming home until late. It was about that time Grandpa started showing up secretly to slide my mom an envelope full of cash to buy groceries and whatever we needed. She took the money so my dad wouldn't feel like what he was providing wasn't enough. Xander used to get so mad at her for that. He thought she should just tell him, make him stop, but she never would. She wanted to believe he'd see his dream come true. My heart breaks a little more with every word he says, and I comfort him in the best way I can. Well, your mom loved him. She wanted to be supportive and didn't want to hurt him. That's understandable. Dahlia, that's just it. That's the ironic part. He was hurting all of us, and Xander was the only one who saw it. My dad didn't live in the real world, and my mom didn't make him. He lived in his dream world, a world where he was a star, and he had started drinking to forget about the reality of his situation. His drinking had gotten so bad that once my mom went back to work, Xander and I would try to sober him up before she got home. One day we came home after school and found him drunk and in bed with another woman. We cleaned him up and got the woman out of the house before our mom came home. My mom loved him, and that would have killed her. He always said how much he loved her, too. But that was a funny way of showing it. Xander hated him after that. I loved him. I hated him. But most of all, I pitied him. I caressed River's cheek and pushed down my sadness. What you felt was only natural. You love your mother and didn't want to see her hurt. Not sure I want to hear the answer, but knowing I have to ask the question, I whisper, "What happened to him?" Framing my face with his gentle hands, he looks deeply into my eyes. "Promise me that after I tell you, we never have to talk about it again." "River, I promise," I tell him, turning my head to kiss his hand. My heart sinks as I prepare to listen to the rest of his story. His eyes sadden and his voice cracks as he tells it. "One day, Xander and I came home from basketball practice, and Dad was completely tanked. He had picked Belle up from school instead of having her go to her after-school program because he thought she needed more practice on the guitar. As soon as we walked in, we could hear him. He was yelling at her, telling her she wasn't playing the right chords and to do it again. She was crying and her fingers were bleeding. Actually bleeding. As soon as Xander saw that, he lost it. He attacked my dad, punching him over and over, and my dad didn't return a single one, but Xander didn't stop. He yelled for me to get Belle out of there, and I did. I brought her to the neighbors, called my grandpa, and by the time I went back, my dad was dead." There is so much pain in his voice already, I don't want to ask him to continue. Tears roll down my cheeks and my pulse is racing, but I know he wants to tell me the rest. I can see it in his eyes. So taking a deep breath, I take both his hands in mine and urge him to go on. "What happened?" His voice hitches and he tells me something he has never openly talked about with anyone. "My mom had come home just after I left and pulled Xander off him. My dad told her what happened and she told him he had to leave, to get out. He went in the bedroom and she and Xander thought he was packing his stuff until they heard the gunshot." Shivering, I hug him as tight as I can. "I'm so sorry, River. I'm so sorry." He straightens his shoulders and pulls away, taking my hands in his. His voice tightens in anger as he talks. "That's not all. He left a note. It didn't say he was sorry or why he did it. Instead it said, 'I love you all. Boys, take care of Mom and Belle, and don't ever settle for not being at the top, because I know you can do what I couldn't.' Xander or Belle never sang or played again after that day, but I never stopped. I don't know if I kept on for him or for me, but I loved it and was happy doing it until the day Xander came home from seeing my grandfather and told me he wanted to manage my career, to put me on top. I never asked why, but since then he's been determined to make the band succeed. Dahlia, I can't let him down." "You owe it to yourself to do what's right for you now, River. Please think about that." "My father always told us that scars are the road maps to one's soul. It took me forever to figure out what he meant, but I did when I met you." Touched by his words, but heartbroken by what happened to him and to his family, I tip his chin up so I meet his eyes when I speak. "I love you so much." He sags against me, touching his nose to mine. Then he buries his head in my neck and sighs. After a few minutes, he brings his lips to mine and kisses me with a need I know I can fill. His kiss is deep, powerful, and unstrained. His strong frame hovers over me. The raw, desperate need I feel from him makes me surrender to him, and I let the conversation drop without further discussion, even though I think we should talk about the upcoming tour. He wraps his arms around my back and dips my body down onto the rock. We stay like that, devouring each other until the sun slips through the sky. But once the sun is set on the horizon, it's time for us to head home. We have dinner plans with River's family, and we're going to be late. With his arm slung around me and my hand tucked in the waistband of his board shorts, he carries the bucket of shells we found along the shore, and I carry my camera and our towels as we head back to the parking lot. When we get to the car, he reaches to open my door and I grab his arm to stop him. I push myself up against his smooth, bare chest so that our sunburns blend into one. I had an amazing day. I tell him as I softly brush against the lips I just spent an hour kissing and still didn't get enough of. And then I feel the need to tell him something else. I'm not sure why. I run the back of my hand along his cheek, caressing it gently. Everything you and I did today, Ben and I never did as adults. We never took the time to just enjoy the beach, so thank you for taking the time with me. I notice him flinch at Ben's name, but the tension quickly passes. And even though we are both barely dressed and our bodies are pressed up against each other, he refrains from making a move. Instead, he circles his arms around me and just holds me tight. Resting his mouth on my ear, he whispers, "Thank you for that, and everything else." Then he opens my door and ushers me into the car. We don't discuss anything we talked about today on the car ride back to L.A. In fact, we hardly talk at all. Instead, we listen to a new band that River really likes called Atlas Genius. He wanted his stepfather to sign them, but he didn't. I love their single Through the Glass. He prefers their song Electric. Both have strong lyrics, and as we listen, I can't help but think we are both taking this time to reflect on all that has happened and everything we discussed. We are so late that we don't even take the extra 10 minutes to go home and change before going to Charlotte's and Jack's. I've been over to River's mother and stepfather's house for dinner at least once a week since moving to L.A., but tonight feels different now that I know what happened between Charlotte and River's father. I feel like I understand her more. Not that I didn't before. Maybe I feel sympathy for her more now, but I know I shouldn't. She's a strong, caring woman who loves her family, and she's happy now. And that makes me happy. Before entering the house, I reach for his arm. "Did you tell Charlotte and Jack about Ben?" He flinches, then lacing his hand in mine, he kisses my forehead. "No. I thought you should tell them when you're ready." "Do you think Xander told them?" "No, Dahlia. He wouldn't do that." "So Belle doesn't know either?" "Hey, nobody knows anything, okay?" he says, slightly agitated. River walks in without ringing the doorbell, and we find them all in the kitchen. Charlotte's kitchen is unlike any I have ever seen. It's huge and has an old-world feel. The double-stacked ovens are encased in a brick wall. 2 sinks sit at one island, and there's another along the wall next to the refrigerator. And there are even 2 dishwashers. A large wooden table seats 12 at one end of the kitchen, while the cooking island planks the other end. Belle and Xander are sitting at the middle island in the center of the room. There's a gorgeous chandelier above it, and 5 bar stools wrap around it. The smell of garlic immediately assaults me, and I know the family's favorite garlic mashed potatoes are on the menu. When Brigitte, the housekeeper, doesn't immediately greet us, I know she isn't here, and Charlotte must be the one cooking tonight. River spots his mother at the stove and heads over to her. I follow behind, waving to Xander and Belle on the way. He kisses his mother on the cheek. "Hey, Mom. Sorry we're late. We lost track of time." "Oh, River, your eye," she says, brushing his hair from his face. "Xander told me you 2 were playing around and he accidentally hit you, but I had no idea it was that bad." She turns to scowl at Xander, and I have to admire how the boys always want to protect their mother. River walks toward Xander and Belle, and I kiss Charlotte as well. "Hi, Charlotte. It's my fault we're late. I insisted on going to the beach today." She tucks my windblown hair behind my ear. "Stop it. You're not late. And it looks like the 2 of you got way too much sun today. Xander, grab them each a water, please. Will you, honey?" Looking at his watch, then at each of us, Xander says, "Since Loverboy is late, I think he can manage his own water." I look over to Belle, whose sense of style never falters. She's wearing an orange off-the-shoulder shirt with army green skinny jeans and her always-present high heels. She rolls her eyes and punches Xander in the arm. "They aren't that late, just 45 minutes, and I'll grab them each a water. she says, smirking at Xander. We walk toward them and she hands each of us a bottle and hugs us. She seems gleeful and I ask, "What's going on?" Biting her bottom lip, then smiling a huge smile, she says, "I stopped by Jack's office today, and not only did I meet Zane Perry and hear his dad's record, I got an internship with Tate Wyatt." River's mouth drops open and excitement lights up his eyes. Zeke Perry was in the studio today? Was he cutting a new album? Looks like I'm not the only one jealous that she got to watch Zeke. He's a musical genius. His music just commands your attention. Belle shrugs her shoulders. I have no idea, but his agent Damon Wolfe was there too. Everyone grows silent, and River's gaze darts to Xander in a manner so blatant I can't help but notice. Then I see that Charlotte's normally vibrantly glowing face has paled, and she excuses herself. I don't ask why right now, but rather I let it pass. I know Damon has a reputation for being a bit of a hothead agent, so who knows whose path he's crossed. His father is also the head of Sheep Industries, who actually owns Sound Music. That must be who Ari was talking about. Strange Damon's interested in the magazine. Maybe he's trying to settle down and get off the road. I know that after he proposed to Ivy Taylor, she severely cut her performance schedule and actually hasn't done anything in months. Her music career was on the fast track, but she had put out only one album and really hadn't marketed it, which was a shame because she has the most unique style. I once dreamed of photographing her. I even had an idea worked up in my mind for an album design. She has the perfect face for it. We'll see. Belle put her hands on her hips and pulls me from my fangirl thoughts. All I know is Jack signed him last week. Did you hear what I said about my job with Tate Wyatt? Xander seems distracted when he speaks. His voice is gruff and he avoids looking at anyone. Who is Tate Wyatt? Belle sighs and throws herself back on the bar stool. Only the top event planner in L.A. He has a waiting list a mile long. River looks at her skeptically. I thought you worked for the band. You guys are leaving soon and I'm not coming, so I need something to do, and Jack had the connection. Xander chimes in, sounding annoyed. Just because we're not here doesn't mean there isn't work to do. Belle sticks her tongue out at him and says, The internship is only 12 weeks unless I get a permanent position. Let's worry about that if it happens. Xander rolls his eyes and Charlotte says, Xander, this is a wonderful opportunity for your sister. You should be more supportive. If need be, I can help you. Xander nods at his mother. River snickers, and I smile at her, mouthing, Congratulations. The door opens and Jack comes in from the backyard with a platter of steaks in hand. Oh, good, you guys made it just in time. Motioning to the oversized refrigerator in the butler's pantry, he says, River, grab yourself a beer and one for me too, if you don't mind. River obliges and we all sit down for dinner. I really love his family. I never had a big family, so I marvel at their interactions as we eat our way through dinner. I haven't been hungry, and my stomach is in knots knowing that River and I still have to have the Ben conversation, but I do my best to eat and socialize. River, on the other hand, hardly touches his food, and his relaxed attitude from the beach is gone. He's bad-tempered with Xander and even short with Belle. Honestly, he's just moody all the way around during dinner. Jack does most of the talking, but then again, he usually does. I actually love to hear him talk about his record label and what new albums are coming out. He tells us about a few smaller companies he's acquired and winks at River when he does, adding, Whenever you're ready to pick one up, and he casually moves on. When he mentions that Denny Harris contacted him about the possibility of the D-Bags moving over to Tyler Records, I get a little excited. I love that band. I nudge River and whisper, Jack might actually sign Kellen Kyle. Did you hear him? River shakes his head, and I swear I see the hint of a smirk, but before he can comment, Belle chimes in. Oh, he's my ex-boyfriend. That would be so cool. Everyone at the table laughs and looks at her. What? Belle asks. Xander, being Xander, just says it like it is. Belle, just because you meet up with a guy once, that doesn't mean he was ever your boyfriend. I'm surprised he uses the term meet up, but I guess he doesn't want Charlotte yelling at him for swearing at the table. Belle pouts her lips. Shut up, Xander. You're just jealous because I actually have friends. Sure, friends, Belle. That's what they are. I really have to stifle my laughter when Belle sticks her tongue out at him, but I'm quickly reminded of River's despondency when he doesn't join in their banter like he usually does. Charlotte clears her throat. That's enough. It's all she has to say, and the conversation comes to an end. We spend the rest of the night talking music, and whenever the Wild Ones tour is mentioned, River withdraws into himself even more. I can see Charlotte notice, and I'm surprised she doesn't say anything. Once we've all helped clean up, River turns to me. You ready to go? I nod my head and we say our goodbyes. Xander is right behind us as we leave, and Bella's already run up to her room to get ready for a date with another boyfriend. Once River closes my door, I hear Xander call him over. I watch the two brothers, and they appear to be arguing. I'm not sure what's driving River's moodiness, reluctance over the impending tour, Ben's return, or just simply exhaustion. I am determined that tonight we will finally sit down to talk, and we can work through everything together. Chapter 11. Hi for this. When we finally pull in the driveway, it's after 11, and I'm so tired. We hardly talked on the short drive home. The only conversation we had was when I asked him why his family reacted strangely to Damon Wolf's name. And River told me Xander dated Ivy years ago. I didn't ask any more questions because he seemed to close the door to that conversation quickly with his abrupt answer. He opens my door and quickly leads me to the stairs. I know it's now or never, so I tug his hand in the opposite direction. What? He asks. Let's go sit outside. I think we should talk. Jaw clenched, he says, You sure you want to do this now? Staring at him, I sigh. River, I think we've avoided too many conversations in the last few days. So yeah, I think we should do this now. I know it probably isn't the perfect time, especially since he just told me about his father. But even at dinner I could feel the strain between us, and I don't want it to continue. We can talk about anything and everything, so why can't we talk about Ben? He nods his head and leads me out the door to the lower pool deck. He pulls another chair over to where he sat last night and tries to avoid knocking over the beer bottles still there. We sit in silence for a long while, both of us facing the pool and the Hollywood sign. When I kick my shoes off, he does the same and catches my eye. I can see he's unsure about how to proceed, so I just start the conversation by blurting out what's on my mind. We talked a little bit last night about this, and even though Grace asked you not to tell me who attacked me, I wish you did. It's not that I don't get why you didn't. I just don't like you keeping things from me. Actually, I really, really dislike it. He leans over with his head down and his hands behind his neck. When he looks up at me, his eyes seem clouded with indecision. Dahlia, it's not just about keeping things from you. It's more complicated than that. Starting to get angry, I try to control myself. What do you mean? In what way? What's complicated about not keeping things from me? He closes his eyes. I didn't see it as keeping anything from you. I intended to tell you, just not right away. You don't understand how I felt. Through clenched teeth, I respond. What do you mean, how you felt? You haven't told me how you felt or anything else, so how about you start with that? He cringes and sits back up. Grace's phone call that morning was a shock. I was never expecting that. But the guilt I felt for not going running with you, the sick feeling I got when they wouldn't let me see you in the hospital, and then the regret that overwhelmed me when I finally saw you and you were lying there in the hospital bed, it was all too much. The last thing I wanted to do was explain who had done that to you. I knew all it would do was open an old wound and cause you more pain, and you were hurt enough. My anger fades in the face of his loving confession. He was trying to protect me in the only way he knew how, and after hearing about his father, I understand his actions so much better. He's rubbing his palms over his jeans with his eyes focused on me. I have to let him know I get it, that I understand. So I scoop my chair as close to his as I can, and taking his hand in mine, I kiss it, then place it over my heart. No words can express my feelings right now. My head drops as I think about the amount of love I have for this man. And for me to be so upset over him not telling me when he thought it was the right thing to do, it doesn't seem right anymore. I don't want to argue with him or cause him pain, so I have to let this go. He lifts my chin. Hey, I didn't tell you that to make you sad. I just wanted you to understand it wasn't a simple decision. It's not like I consciously made a choice. I just felt in my heart that Grace was right. A couple of days for you to heal before telling you the news wouldn't matter either way. So, although I'm sorry you got upset, I'm not sorry I didn't tell you right away. I did what I thought was best for you. I'll always do what I think is best for you. A cool breeze rushes by and I shiver. I have to apologize. So I sit up and inhale a deep breath. But when I cross my arms and rub them with my hands, he immediately notices and walks over to get my sweatshirt that's lying on the ground from last night. As he picks it up, the note from Ben falls out of the pocket. Immediately my heart starts pounding and I bolt out of the chair, trying to retrieve the paper before he reads it. But he's too fast. He snatches it first and quickly scans it. I search his eyes, trying to get a glimpse of what's going through his mind. River, it's not what you think. Anger flashes across his face, and it doesn't take me long to figure out what he's thinking as his body goes instantly rigid. With a look of betrayal, he stands there, just feet from me on the pool deck with his hands fisting at his sides, not saying anything, just staring at the note. Stepping closer to him, I reach for the piece of paper. Let me explain. Ben, he cuts me off as suspicion washes over his face. His voice is harsh, almost commanding. Yeah, I think you should explain why you have a love note from your ex-fiancé in your pocket. You told me you didn't see him again. Did you lie to me? My jaw drops. I've never thought of Ben as my ex-fiancé, and his words paralyzed me for a moment. But as the silence becomes deafening and the tension turns unbearable, I finally managed to say, no, I didn't lie. Taking a step back, his green eyes alternate between looking at me and looking at the note he's waving in the air. Then how did you get this? Flinching at his accusation, I start trembling as nerves overtake me. I know I didn't do anything wrong, but the way he's looking at me makes me feel guilty and it terrifies me. Not in a physical way, more in a he's done with this kind of way. With that thought, I inhale a deep breath and say, when I left my house yesterday, it was on the windshield of my car. I needed to leave a note for Serena, so I tore off the bottom half and shoved the rest in my pocket. It doesn't mean anything. He closes his eyes and I can see his body start to shake as well. When he opens them again, they're unfocused, looking everywhere but at me. Let me get this straight. So not only did you spend the day at the house you shared with him, but he was there with you? His observation is so blatantly false I don't falter in my response. I told you, he left it on my car. He never came in the house. I never saw him after I left Grace's. Like I said, the note doesn't mean anything to me. Fuck, Dahlia. How can you say it doesn't mean anything? He wrote you a love note and you kept it in your pocket. That means something to me. I move forward. When I step into him and try to cup his cheeks, try to get him to look at me, he steps back. Crumbling the note in his hand, he shakes his head and tosses it into the pool. Without even looking at me, he walks over to where we were sitting, picks up a beer bottle and smashes it against the stairs. I watch it break into a million tiny pieces. The sound deafens me as he throws another and another. I rush over to him and grab his arm. River, stop it. He bats my arm away and continues until every bottle lies broken on the ground. Looking down, I hope I'm not looking at a reflection of the despair I swear I see on his face. Is his faith in me shattered? Touching him, talking to him, I need to figure out how to make him understand. Grabbing his arm with one hand, I clutch his face with the other. River, please talk to me. Jerking his head back, he glares at my hand and then yells louder than I have ever heard him yell before. Do you have any idea how it makes me feel to know that you're still a part of his life? Dead was one thing, but now he's alive. He's not in my life. He stops me with one look, clenching his jaw as he walks away. Near the railing, he stops and leans back, crossing his arms. Glaring at me, he seethes in anger and spits out, Do you have any idea how I felt when I woke up yesterday and you were gone? Do you? Tears sting my eyes. I don't want to fight with him anymore. I just want all of this to go away and for us to go back to us, not these two angry people who don't know how to calmly discuss their issues. Trying my best to remain calm, I quietly start to explain. River, I left you a note. But again, he cuts me off. His eyes dart to mine as rage clearly defines every inch of his body. You left me a fucking note that you were going to see the man you spent your whole life with, the man you left me for the first time we met, the man whose ghost I have had to compete with every day of our lives together. My eyes widen in disbelief that he felt that way, maybe still feels this way, and sorrow washes through me. My lip trembles as I try to explain. River, why didn't you ever tell me how you felt? I had no idea. We could have talked about it. You know how I feel. That part of my life is over. Clearly frustrated, he runs his hands through his hair. Then he quickly moves toward me, and grabbing my arm, he points to my wrist. Then why do you still wear this? Why haven't you taken it off? You know what? Let me answer that for you. Because you can't let him go. Do you still love him? Irritated now, I raise my hand and contemplate slapping him. Having decided against it, I hastily drop it. But really, how dare he accuse me of that? His eyes narrow. If it makes you feel better to slap me again, go ahead. My irritation returns, but I don't hit him. I'm really not a violent person. So instead, I twist away, pause briefly, then head for the door. Fuck him. He isn't the only one who gets to be mad. He's behind me in an instant, grabbing my hand and pulling me back. I turn around on my heels. I am not going to talk to you when you're like this, I snap. That's it? You're just going to walk away? He yells. Then letting me go, he turns around and walks back to the chairs. Muttering under my breath, I whisper, This is getting us nowhere. I'm going inside. My word sets something off inside of him, and he's quickly beside me again. For a few short seconds, we stand there, face to face, glaring at each other. He takes me in, every inch of me. There's a sense of urgency between us I've never felt before. My heart is racing. He walks me backward until my legs are flush against the stone railing surrounding our patio. With his eyes still burning into mine, he lifts me so that I am sitting on top of the wall. He fits his body between my legs. I run my hands down his chest and around to his back, my fingers digging into it. Enunciating his words so that his message is crystal clear, he tells me, You're not going anywhere, Dahlia. I'm done with you walking away every time we have an argument. You got it? Nodding my head yes, I'm a little stunned by his aggressiveness, but for some reason I'm also incredibly turned on. River, the note means nothing. Those are Ben's words, not mine. He's just stuck in the past. And you know the reason I wear the bracelet isn't about Ben. I told you why. To remind myself to live life to the fullest, to have no regrets. But River, you mean everything to me, and I don't think I can get you to see that right now. I'm not sure you're in any state of mind to hear what I have to say. That's why I was leaving. He forces me to look at him. Dahlia, You're wrong. We can talk about this now. We are talking about this now. What it comes down to is that unless you tell me you still love him, there is nothing we can't work out. Staring